Hi, happy people, and welcome to Happy by Choice. It's been a while. I've been away for a while, but I'm back, and I'm back with a bang. Um, Today I have one guest. Could you please kindly introduce yourself?
Okay, hi everyone. This is Precious Maraela. I stay in Lebahoma. I don't know. I'm just a guest here, so yeah, we'll be talking about mental health.
Talking about
Yeah.
mental health. Today we'll be talking specifically about bipolar disorder, which is something that we have both been diagnosed with. And before I start, I'd just like to make a disclaimer that this video contains sensitive topics. It is intended for educational purposes only and should not be used as a diagnosis. Please consult a certified health worker professional if you have or you think you have this disorder. Now that the legal part is we are done with that, I just want us to just jump into it and just like talk about this thing that I think a lot of people don't even know about. Some people, you mention the word bipolar disorder and they're like, what? What are you even talking about? People don't even know what it is. So I took the liberty of going online to Dr. Google, to Dr. Google, and the Mayo Clinic describes bipolar disorder as a disorder associated with episodes of mood swings ranging from depressive lows to manic highs. Bipolar disorder was formerly called depression, is a mental health condition that causes extreme mood swings that include emotional highs, mania or hypermania, and lows, which is depression. So it was formerly known as manic depression because it's characterized by the fact that it has mania. And we'll explain what mania is because I also didn't know for a very long time. Even after I'd been disclosed, I didn't know what mania was, but now I do. Okay. And to educate everyone. They also go on to say that the exact cause of bipolar disorder isn't known, but a combination of genetics, environment, and altered brain structure and chemistry may play a role. Manic episodes may include symptoms such as high energy, reduced need for sleep, loss of touch with reality, and depressive episodes may include symptoms such as low energy, low motivation, and loss of interest in daily activities. Mood episodes that last for months at a time may also be associated with suicidal thoughts. Now that, yes, and medical news today says that bipolar disorder can cause severe disruptions to a person's life, but the impact varies between individuals. With appropriate treatment and support, many people with this condition live a full and productive life. I think that is one of the misconceptions about mental health disorders is that it's the same for everyone. It affects us differently. Precious and I were diagnosed with the same thing, but we show different symptoms and we're probably even treated with different medication. And I just want to ask you, Precious, just to hear from you, when were you diagnosed?
Okay, well, I was first diagnosed in June 2011. So I pretty much have like 11 years with this illness, this disorder. So it was 2011 for me.
I was diagnosed in 2012, just a year.
A year after. Yeah, so my first, I had depression before, but my first manic and psychotic episode was in like 2011, June.
Yeah, for me, when I was first diagnosed, it was diagnosed as depression at first.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of difficult to diagnose bipolar because it's really difficult to diagnose it, especially with the mania. Sometimes it could be mistaken for just it being your personality.
Hypomania.
I'm a very bubbly person. I talk a lot, so no one thought that is abnormal. So it took a while for them to diagnose it as bipolar. but it first started as depression for me.
Yeah.
So I want to hear from you. How did you take the news?
It was hard, yo. I mean, it was something I wasn't really expecting. I mean, I had depression for years since I was like 13, but then still, I never just imagined that I would have like bipolar, get psychotic or get manic. So it was very, very hard for me. But then as time went on, I just had to learn to accept, and make peace with the diagnosis. But it wasn't easy, seriously. It wasn't.
Yeah, it never is. It never is easy. It never is. Especially with the stigma, hey? You know, the way
The
mental
stigma,
health.
yeah, the attitudes, people's attitudes toward mental illness. Yeah,
Yeah, it's so
it's
stigmatized.
disturbing.
For me, you were diagnosed at a young age, the same as me. I was diagnosed at 14, and
Yeah.
people were just like, "You're a kid. Why are you depressed? What depresses you? You're a
Yeah,
child.
they'll tell you kids
You
don't
don't
get
have bills.
depressed.
You don't have
Like
anything. You
it
know."
happens. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
the
one of
stigma that does affect the way we as patients accept or
our
deal with
conditions.
the condition. So your family, how did your family take it?
I didn't take it well because honestly, my first episode was just terrible. I went through a lot, so it affected them negatively. Having to witness and see me doing all the things that I did. When you're manic, when you're psychotic, you do stuff, you break, things like that. So it wasn't really easy for them. But it was traumatizing. As much as it traumatized me, it also traumatized them a bit.
Yeah,
So
it
yeah,
is.
it
It
was
is like, especially with psychosis. Whew.
psychosis. The problem is psychosis.
All of it,
That's
psychosis is
no
a huge
child's
problem, eh?
play. It is, yeah. It's no child's play. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
no one really should experience that. So yeah,
Oh.
it's not
Mm.
easy.
Like I'm just even having flashbacks of when it happened to me, and I'm just like, oh, Kusia.
Hey, you know,
It was a whole,
yeah,
it's a whole thing.
yeah. Hey,
And most of the times when you have psychosis, you end up just being admitted into hospital because it's it's
yeah,
it's
you
it's
do.
a lot. It's a
It's a
lot.
lot to deal with. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot to deal with. It is a lot.
Did you ever get hospitalized for bipolar?
Yeah, I did. But mostly, let me just say that initially I was kept at home and then I just go as an outpatient. But then later on, not at the beginning of my illness. So later on, after a couple of years, when I had my other episode, I was hospitalized for like 5 or 4 months they initially. So I stayed there for that lengthy period. And then after some months again, I went back. So yeah, I stayed for a couple of months in hospital. Yeah,
No,
that's
five
what
months is a
happened.
lot, eh? I
That's
couldn't
that's
I
a
couldn't
lot.
bear weeks.
It's a lot. It was terrible. It's like you can stay there. You find people who are also ill like you are. And even though you improve and you're better, you have to deal with other people's conditions, the way they are, their reactions, their behavior. So you get used to, I wouldn't say craziness, but you get used to people with disordered ways or stuff like that, and it gets difficult when you get out into the open and you have to deal with normal people. So
Mhm.
it wasn't easy. Like, you get used to when you're stuck in one place and get used to people like you, people who do stuff this way and things like that. Yeah, so it's not easy having to stay for a long time.
Yeah,
Eh,
yeah, I can imagine. I
yeah.
always talk about how I had an amazing experience in hospital. Some people disagree with me. I don't know. How was your experience? How was your hospital experience?
I enjoyed, okay, I would say that hospital experiences that I enjoyed were when I was depressed. But when
Mm.
I'm psychotic and all of that, I wouldn't say that I really enjoyed that. But when I'm just depressed, that's when I like enjoy the activities at the hospital, people and things like that. They would be encouraging, they would be helpful a lot. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And the activities we did at the hospital. So, you do a lot, crafts and stuff like that. Yeah. So I
Yeah, the
would say
activities are always really nice, hey? I
yeah,
also
the
enjoy the
activities.
activities with you, the
Yeah.
arts and craft, all those
Art
things.
and
And
craft, this and that, music, yeah, things
yeah,
like that.
it's really fun. That was the best part of being in hospital because your mind is it kind of distracts you from the fact that you are sick right now, and
Uh,
you do all those things, and you start being positive because you're making those little things, and oh my gosh, I didn't know. I remember we
yeah,
made
you actually make this.
we had paintings, we had beads, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know I was able to do all those things. And when you do those things, it kind of encourages you to actually, you know what, I want to get better and I want to get out and I want to do
Yeah,
more of this outside.
all of these
Yeah,
things. Yeah,
yeah, that is that. Yeah, the activities were nice. You like you
yeah.
said, when you were psychotic, it's not nice.
Hey, it's not. It's not. No,
When you're
not at
psychotic,
all.
it's not nice. Because
It's
I
not.
had
You do crazy things. That's the thing. You do crazy things.
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember the first time we met, we spoke about
Yeah.
you know, I had referential delusions and
Yeah.
um persecutory delusions. And you
Yeah.
did mention that you also had referential delusions where you thought people were talking about you on TV and on the radio.
You, yeah, that's what that's what
It,
happens. And it feels
it's
so
so
real.
crazy.
That's the problem. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
When you
feels
come
so
out of
real.
it and you're like, did I really think that people were
You
talking
mean you
about me on
think,
TV on the radio?
yeah.
Where would they have gotten all that information? But we genuinely thought that. I even had
Yeah.
persecutory delusions where I thought people were out to get me. I thought someone was
Get
coming
me.
for me.
Yeah.
And when they
Yeah.
find me, Bona, I'm
They're gonna
dead.
you're dead. Yeah, that's what you run. You'll try to escape things. You'd always be running. You think they're after you.
And you're literally running from nothing.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
You're running
That's the
from
thing.
nothing. Oh my God. It's funny now. It wasn't
Yeah,
funny then.
but not when you, yeah.
It wasn't funny then.
You,
And I think, right, a lot of people, the word psychotic, they use it in the wrong context, because psychotic means someone who's experiencing psychosis. And
yeah,
psychosis is not when someone decides they want to slash your car, or they want
yeah,
to throw all the things. No, that is not psychotic. And it really, whenever I hear people say that, it pains me, because now it takes away from the reality of what
yeah.
psychosis, what a psychotic
Of
person
what
is.
psychosis
And
is.
yeah, then we're made up to be some people that are crazy, and we're not really crazy. It's just that my mind is doing its own thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's doing its own thing. Have you received support, from your community, your family, friends?
Yeah, I would say that I did receive support. Like my family was very, very supportive, especially my first episode. It was it was so amazing how they all came through, like even distant family and distant relatives. They just came through to see me when I was going through all of that. It was amazing at first. The support from family was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even with some friends, the community, yeah, I think the I would say they supported me. Yeah, the community also supported me, especially most of the nurses on our street. So they would help me out. They would always watch out for me and things like that. So yeah,
Mm,
support I did get, even
that's good.
though, yeah,
That's good.
even though the stigma was there for some people, yeah,
Yeah, a lot of people
most people,
don't really understand, don't
they don't
and
understand. Yeah, they don't. Yeah,
people still
so
have that thing that if you go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist, then you're crazy.
You're crazy.
And
Yeah, they
people
still
still
do
have
that.
that thought even now. Or this one time I was in a taxi and someone was saying, oh my gosh, I'm struggling with this and that and that. And then their friend tells them, no, go see one of the counselors at school. And they're like, yo, I'm not crazy. People still have that thought
Not for
even now.
crazy people only.
You don't
Yeah,
have to be crazy to see a professional. You don't
yeah.
like
You don't
doesn't this
need that.
yeah, the stigma can be bad. But I was going to ask you whether you have experienced stigma, but you did say you have, and
Yeah.
it makes the experience really difficult for us, to be honest with you. The first time I was hospitalized, and I mean, I had a lot of stories because a lot of things happen in a psychiatric hospital.
Yeah.
A lot of things happen. So I had a lot of stories, and I was telling people all the stories, and then they would ask me, so why were you in hospital? And I'd always dodge that question because where do I
Yeah.
even start? Like, how do I
Where do
even
you even
explain to you?
start?
You know?
Yeah.
And now I have to now take on the role of teaching people what is bipolar disorder. And
Exactly.
at the time I was young, I also didn't even know what it was. So I just dodged the question and I didn't answer it because I was not in the mood for all those, like, the questions. And
Yeah.
we really have to fight, man, the stigma, man. People have to
It's
change
too much.
their mind.
Yeah. It has to
Yeah,
change.
because at the same time, when you're dealing with all those things, you also have suicidal thoughts. And
That's
when
the thing.
you're being
Yeah.
stigmatized like that, it
It
also
makes it
contributes
worse.
to that. It does. It
Yeah.
contributes to that. I really don't, you know, I wouldn't wish that on anyone, for you to struggle with an illness and at the same time you're being stigmatized,
It's
It
hard.
it really is. It really is. Mm.
Yeah.
So what do you want people to know about people suffering from bipolar disorder?
What I'd like people to know is that it's possible, like ultimately possible, to live a normal life, to be productive, to work, to do everything. Because some people think that when you have bipolar, you can't do anything. You're just gonna be psychotic. You're just gonna be ill, disorientated, and things like that. You won't manage relationships very well. Like the mood swings and everything. So what I'd like people to know is that you can live a normal, stable life with this illness. And
Mm.
that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. It is. I mean, look at us. We're
Just look
living
at us.
life.
Yeah.
Look at us. We're living
Living our
life.
lives. We are living
We're
our lives. Yeah.
living our lives. We are accomplishing things, and
Yeah.
we still find ourselves in this journey. um I really just want people to know that it can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
It really
To
can happen
anyone
to
that
anyone. You could actually be sitting with someone in class and you wouldn't know that the person sitting next to you has
has
this
bipolar.
disorder.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
happens to anyone. No one is immune to it. It can happen to anyone. So be kind. Be kind,
Very
honestly.
kind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to be kind to each other and be kind to people. I remember this one time in varsity, I asked someone, what would you do if you found out that a friend of yours has bipolar disorder, knowing very well that I was diagnosed? And he said, yo, I wouldn't be friends with them.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whoa. Okay.
And then years after that, I
Yeah.
confronted him and I'm like, do you remember what you said? You said that if you found out that a friend of yours has bipolar disorder, you wouldn't um, be friends with them. And he didn't even know what bipolar disorder was. He didn't even know that it's a type of depression.
Yeah, it's a
And
type of
here you
depression.
are, you have this thoughts and you don't even know what it is. You're discriminating against something that you don't know. So I think I would
Against
like
something you
encourage
don't
people.
know.
Yeah, encourage people to just educate yourself, man. Take the
And
time.
educate themselves about it.
Educate
Yeah.
yourself about these things, not just bipolar disorder. There's so many. There's borderline
Many
personality disorder. There's anxiety disorder. There's a lot of mental health
anxiety
illnesses that
there's
we're
a
not
lot.
educated about. Yeah, we need to educate ourselves about it, because I think education kind of kills that stigmatization, because now if you know what it is and you know what this person is dealing with, you wouldn't go around stigmatizing
you wouldn't
them and all that.
stigmatize like that.
Yeah. Do you think it's important for people to educate themselves about mental health illnesses?
It is definitely to make the world a better place for those who are suffering from it. I mean, if someone knows and understands what you're going through, they'll treat you differently and they'll treat you rightfully. So if it happens that they're just clueless about mental illness, they'll just formulate ideas and stigmas. They're still gonna just ignorantly, they're just gonna be ignorant and stigmatized even more. So it's important for them to get to know, so that it makes it easier for us to live among them, and things like that.
Yeah, it's there's nothing wrong with saying I don't know what that is. There's nothing wrong with saying I don't know. If you don't know, then give me the opportunity to, hey, but I know it's not my it's not for me to educate yourself. Go out there and
educate yourself.
And find out, and then come back and ask, oh, so I researched and they say it's this and that. I'll correct you if you're wrong, because someone did ask me, what is bipolar? I'm like, you know what? I think you should just go and research for yourself. And they did that. And then they came back and were like, it's just mood swings. Not just mood swings, okay? It's not just mood swings. It's extreme lows and extreme highs. And the highs can be fun, but at the end, you end up doing some really reckless things. People sell their houses, sell their cars, quit their jobs, and come back and realize that, oh my gosh, what did I do? And there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do to get those things back now. I'm just grateful that when I was experiencing mania, I didn't do anything that was kind of irreversible. I did obviously spend a lot of money in very unnecessary places and things that I didn't need to spend money on. But I'm just glad that I didn't end up, selling my car, or okay, I don't have a car. But if I did, end up selling a car. Or maybe selling everything you have and be like, I'm going overseas, and when you come back home, you have nothing.
You have nothing.
You have nothing. So I'm glad I was able to get help fast, because had I not, God knows, we would be talking a different story now. I really. So what do you do now to keep yourself stable? Because I'm aware that you are stable right now. What do you do to keep yourself stable?
Keep myself stable. I think medication is the most important thing. Taking your medication and regularly, timelessly, it helps in a lot of ways. And regularly, sometimes, like now, since I'm a bit more stable, I just have to see a therapist maybe once in a month or in 2 months or so. But like receiving counseling and therapy also did help, because you'll find that you meet certain situations either at work or school or just in a community, and you're struggling with it. So having someone to bounce off ideas and thoughts or just open up to someone really does help. So what helped me was the therapy and keeping to my medication and ensuring that I live a healthier life. Trying to work out, doing, what can I say? It's mainly just doing those things and ensuring that I minimize my stress levels, because the more stress I get, that's when I will shoot up and then have an episode. So I ensure that I keep away, I minimize my stress levels as much as I possibly can. That's what I do.
I think for me, I had a really good support system. I have friends that I can call whenever I'm feeling down, whenever I'm feeling whichever feeling that I'm feeling. I have different friends that I call when I'm feeling a different emotion. So I think I'm grateful for my friends, that the people that are in my life, and my family as well. You know, my sisters. I have a lot of people to talk to. A lot of people to talk to whenever I'm feeling a certain way. And what I make sure I do is I never disregard the emotions that I'm feeling. If I'm feeling sad, I allow myself to feel that emotion and ask myself, why am I feeling sad today? You know, take time to evaluate the emotions I feel, and not just bang them and be like, oh, come on, people get sad. I'm like, okay, I'm not just any normal person. I need to take stock of my emotions and make sure that if this emotion is coming from something that is deep rooted, then find a way to work through it, then go for counseling. And if this emotion is just something really small, maybe you failed a test and you're sad about it, and then okay, I failed a test and this is why I'm sad, so now what am I going to do about it? Then okay, I'm going to study, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start consulting, do all those things to kind of take stock of your emotions. Never ever neglect the emotions you feel, because at the end of the day, when they bank, now you end up having a depressive episode.
Your best.
And you don't want that. We definitely don't want that.
You need to gain insight into your own emotions. So bottling it up won't really help. You're just gonna explode at the end.
That's true. That is true. We really, and counseling is so important, especially for someone who's suffering from mental health illnesses, is that it is a chemical imbalance in the brain. So if the brain is not balanced, which is why we take medication to balance out those chemicals in the brain that are not balanced. But at the same time, you have to work together with your psychiatrist and your psychologist, and like you said, take your medication regularly as prescribed by the doctor, and don't ever do something stupid that I did. I stopped taking medication on my own without consulting my doctor, without speaking to anyone, and I just stopped taking my medication because I thought I was feeling fine. And I ended up having the worst attack of my life. The worst. That is when I had the worst psychosis, the worst psychotic episode, the worst depressive episode. It was bad. It was really bad. And it was because I decided, you know what, I don't need this medication, and I stopped. So don't ever stop taking medication without consulting your doctor. If your doctor thinks it's time that you stop, they will do it the way they're supposed to do it. Don't ever stop taking your medication on your own just because you feel good. Don't do that.
And it seems like most people tend to have that idea, because like when you're at the hospital, you see some who've always relapsing, and when you ask, they stop the medication. They think they're okay, they don't need it. So that's just one of those things that affects, I think it affects a lot of us. Even I did stop medication at some point, thinking that I'm okay, I can cure this, I can get over it, or things like that. But then I realized it's not going anywhere. It's here to stay.
It needs to be taken like a physical illness. I mean, if your leg is broken, they have to put a cast, and then you have to move around in the cast, and then they have to remove it at some point, and then you have to go to physical therapy to, there's a whole process that goes on. And I think maybe because we kind of separated from normal health, we say it's mental health. Maybe that's, I don't know. I feel like maybe that makes it feel like, no, it's something different from the normal health. This is mental health, and this is the other normal health. I feel like it should be one thing and should be taken seriously just as much as if you have a cough, you go to the doctor and then they'll give you something for that, and then you start taking, lemon and keeping yourself warm and all those things. So at the same time, the way you treat your physical pains or physical illnesses, it's the same way we should treat mental health illnesses.
Mental health.
Yeah, don't neglect the fact that, oh no, you can't see it, so it must not be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't-
So
shouldn't.
I
Yeah.
hope people really learned a couple of things from the session. We honestly can we really can't unpack everything in one, because it's a
So,
you and I. You had 10 years, I've had 9 years. It's been it's been a journey dealing with this thing. So there's a lot of things that we've experienced. Obviously, we can't really disclose all of them because of time, but hopefully maybe we can have another chat about it if people are interested in hearing more of our stories. Just Precious, what are your parting words?
My parting words is that be kind, as you said, and stop the ignorance. Just educate yourself about a variety of things about mental health to make it easier for some of us to live in this world, because it's a struggle. Living with mental illness is a struggle, and it gets harder if people around you, your community and all of that, they're not very helpful or they stigmatize you. So I would say reduce the stigma, people, and educate yourself about mental health.
Yeah, that's important. People really need to educate themselves.
So,
They
yeah.
really, really do. So if there's anyone watching who thinks that, oh no, I think that what they're talking about is something that I've experienced, there's many places where you can find help. You can go to a psychiatrist, a psychologist, you can visit a social worker, and you can also find out if the institution you are in has counselors available for you. And if they do, you can, find yourself a counselor. They can connect you with one. And here are important numbers that you need to know. From the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, it is Africa's largest mental support and advocacy group. If you need to get in contact with them, it's 0800 12 13 14. Again, 0800 12 13 14. That is SADAG, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. And then we have Adcock, Ingram, Depression and Anxiety Helpline. Adcock Ingram is a leading South African pharmaceutical manufacturer, sponsoring a support line to provide immediate help for people suffering from anxiety and other mental illnesses. Their number is 0800 70 80 90. Again, it's 0800 70 80 90. And Lifeline South Africa for anyone who finds themselves feeling suicidal, or there's someone next to them who is showing signs of being suicidal. You can call the Lifeline South Africa, which is 0861 322 322. For the South African Lifeline, it is 0861 322 322. I hope people find this numbers helpful. If you sometimes you could feel something and you feel like you can't talk to anyone who's next to you, or you are still a bit shy to go to a psychologist, call these numbers. You are doing it in the privacy of your own home, and they can lead you and direct you to a nearby place where you can go to get help. But what's important is for you to get help, and get help today. Don't wait for it to be too late. Yes, because now we have a high suicide rate in South Africa right now. It's really bad, and I think people really need to get help as soon as possible. even if it's a really tiny emotion that you're feeling and you feel, you know what, I can deal with it, but it's been there for a long time, go and seek for help. If it's nothing, it's nothing, and if it's something, then you have help. So I think it's vital that you guys really go out there and get help.
No, true.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Precious, for joining me and sharing your
Okay.
story.
My
Yeah,
pleasure.
we were connected by our stories.
Yeah,
And
true.
yeah, I was honestly so happy when I met you, because I had never met anyone outside of hospital. Most people that I meet with the same condition was in hospital. Outside of hospital, I'd never met anyone. It made me feel like, you know what, I'm not alone. I'm not alone in this thing.
Yeah, true.
Look like me
True.
and even stay in the same area that I do, that go through this thing. And yeah, and yeah, it kind of, oh my gosh, I was so emotional the first day I met you. I was so
Yeah, I
happy.
remember.
I was so happy. So yeah, no, thank you so much for joining me today. I really,
Okay,
really,
my
really,
pleasure.
and I'm grateful for everyone who has tuned in. I hope you guys took out something from this episode and enjoy the rest of your morning, your night, your evening, your day, because people watch YouTube videos at different times. Thank you so much, and bye.
Bye.